Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Law Live. My next guest, I'm sure, needs absolutely no introduction, and a high flyer in every sense of the word, literally. 25 years at both law, the bar, and being a commercial pilot at Qantas. Can you please make very welcome the incomparable Damien Toohey? Welcome, Damien. Good to have you join Law Live, my friend.
Hi, Cullen. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And case in point, where are you right now and how did you get there?
Singapore, and I flew myself.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. What's your favorite thing to say to passengers? Have you made any usual Damien jokes or quips or any anecdotes that you like to say to clients when they're flying?
I usually try and calm people because people just picture newspaper headlines of accidents and that type of thing. So I just keep things real, like
Keep
law.
it real. Yeah, like law indeed. And obviously you are quite the anomaly because not only do you have an exciting high flying life as a commercial pilot, but you are also a barrister at the New South Wales Bar and recently appointed at second floor Selborne. How do you balance the two? And you must be so busy right now.
I balance it with enormous difficulty, Cullen. When we were chatting, the sort of hello that we had earlier, I mentioned that, and you caused me to think about it with one of your questions. How do I balance these things? And you sort of got to throw yourself into whatever you're doing at the time. So, when I was returning to flying, I just had to immerse myself in it so that I could get back up to speed and get my mindset going in that direction because it's different to the practice of law. And, then when I come back from a trip or something like that and I get into law, I've sort of got to start reading and giving thought to being a different kind of thinker, I guess.
Absolutely. What elements of being a pilot help you with life at the bar? I'd wonder.
Well, I wonder that myself. I think I think a certain calmness. It's very important, when flying. If something happens, and we do this in the simulator all the time. We have engine fires and failures and bells going off and all sorts of stuff. It's very important just to sit on your hands, as we say as pilots, and just have a think about what's going on around you, and just take some time to process what's happening rather than react. And I think being reactionary causes difficulties in both fields. Certainly in law it does. You say things you don't want to say, and in flying you do things you don't want to do.
No, it's a good point there. So remaining calm and as cool as a cucumber, I'd imagine, is quite helpful. The last thing you want to hear is the pilot on live speakerphone. I don't know what to do. This is my first time. What do we? Oh, okay. Brace, brace, brace. You want to be calm and you don't want to be reactionary. I love what you're putting down there, Damien. Is there what's it like to be both a pilot and a barrister at the same time? Because surely it can be all consuming both times. We were talking about your sleep before we went live. That's important to you. Like having both go on at once. How do you cope with that? And how do you manage that?
Yeah, I sleep like a baby, Cullen, as you would know. I 3 hours and then wake up for 2 hours and watch television.
My goodness. Yes.
Go back to
little Benji does sleep like that.
Yeah. And I think it's just important to remember what you're there for and what you're doing. And if I'm working as a barrister, I'm there for someone else's benefit, not my own. So I kind of take myself out of the same as being a mediator. You don't. It's not about you. It's about them. And so that's kind of what I focus on.
Fantastic. And you were also saying that on the subject of sleep, you do take it very seriously as an aviator. Like it's not something you take lightly, and you don't just rock up with 1 or 2 hours. You try. What's the minimum you need to function yourself, Damien?
I try and, if I'm at home and things are fairly stable, I try and get about 5 or 6 hours a night, which they say is not enough, but it's enough for me. And with flying, I maintain a sleep bank, so I just throw a few hours at a time in the bank, and hopefully build up to 6 or 7 hours.
No, very good. Very good. You don't make a joke with a hip flask when you're walking towards the cockpit and say, just, I've had a couple this morning. It's okay.
No, I don't make any jokes when walking towards the cockpit. It's a time for calm reflection.
A time for calm reflection. Well, your photos on LinkedIn, just before we get into our next question, are quite something else. If you haven't seen Damien's pictures live in the cockpit, I think there was one when you were flying, there was lightning strike, and it absolutely looked glorious. Like you must see things that 99.9% of the population don't see. And that must be very humbling and special.
I find the process of life to be very humbling, but flying and what we're able to see up there is extraordinary. And I don't share them, for conceited reasons. I share them because people don't see these things, and sometimes I don't even really want to comment on them. I just want to put them up, and so if people like them, I'll keep sharing them, and I love to do so.
Please keep sharing them. And I know someone who loves it. It says LinkedIn user, but I know that's Evelyn Gardis. So she's tuning in and she definitely admires what you're doing. So thank you, Evelyn. And I would say, everyone, it is now 2:22 Australian Eastern Standard Time here in Sydney. Please, if you've got any burning questions for this absolute powerhouse, it's very rare that you get him outside of either the cockpit or the courtroom. So please put your questions in, or if you've got anything a little bit more personal, you want to talk about a matter, I'm sure you'd welcome a cheeky DM. And Evelyn's laughing there as well. So very good. How did you get into flying, Damien?
Well, I was in the law from when I was 16 until when I was about 33. And I just decided that lawyers were too much for me at the time.
No.
I thought there must be more to, yeah. So I thought there must be more to life than that. And I'd always had a passion for flying. So because I could afford it, I took my own lessons at 30, and I started from there. So very late.
Very, very late, but still, like, did you went all in on the flying and maybe left law for a time, or did both at the same time?
No, I used to do my 1 hour a week out at Bankstown Airport and work all week, and that gave me time to sort of reflect and think about all the errors I made through each week. And then I finally got my private license after 12 months, and then went commercial, and just kept going from there.
Absolutely. Like, well, you've got this what I've noticed, I've been a friend of yours for a few years now. You got a very calm demeanor about you, and you're quite stoic. And you do like to read and think on things. Were you always like that, or has being a pilot given you that perspective?
No, I've always been thoughtful, I guess, but thoughtful because I like to process what's going on around me. I like to think what impact I might be having on others when I speak. I don't just like to launch and say whatever comes out of my mouth. So, I've always been fairly thoughtful, I think. My mother describes me as a please consider type, which I'm not 100% sure what she means, but I think it's a throw to the Japanese in some fashion.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's a remarkable quality, and I certainly envy it. Someone like me who's very high energy and probably speaks a little bit too much. I'm admiring Louis XIV in history because he was very much like me, very energetic, until he learned that it was far better and subtler to say less. And whenever people asked him a question, he'd say, "We shall see," and then he'd go and do it a couple of weeks or days later and keep everyone in suspense. So trying to be a bit more like Louis XIV there. But nonetheless, we've got a lot of people engaging. We've got Karina saying Damien is a high-flying barrister. So thank you, Karina. Evelyn's asking, when is the gang lunch? We've definitely got to do one. And before I get into my next question, Karina actually has a question for you there, Damien. The question is, if you're not flying or preparing for a hearing for the following week, what do you enjoy doing on your weekends? That is a great question, Karina, and thank you so much for asking it.
Yeah, thanks, Karina. What do I enjoy doing? Well, I like motorbike riding, and I like driving. I like walking. I like thinking. So it could be any number of those things, or sailing. I mean, I've got lots of activities that I like to engage in, but I actually find I don't have that much time to engage in them, really, when it comes down to it. But there are things I like to do. I like to watch a lot of comedy. Yeah.
What are you watching at the moment that's really tickling your fancy?
Oh, I don't want to alienate anyone, but I'm a bit of a Bill Burr fan. The funniest guy I'm listening to at the moment.
Very good. It's good to laugh. It's good to laugh. I think they said that in either You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay, or The Secret. When you get a chance, it's far better rather than horror and thrillers and all that other stuff. Watch some comedy. Good for the soul. It's the best medicine. It really is. So yeah, that's a good question there, Karina. Well done. And bringing you back. Sorry about that there, Damien. I know this is probably going to be another polarizing question because from the leading professionals I know at the bar, quite a few of them, that is what there is all consuming. And they absolutely love the law, love working as a lawyer, and to have side passions and distractions maybe considered to be, if you're not fully focused, it might be something else. So I'd love to ask you, do you love the law more, or do you love being a pilot more?
Wow, that's such a great question. And I admire those people. Because I'm in Selborne Chambers, I see barristers all day long, and I think, wow, being so dedicated to the task for their whole careers and their whole lives. I mean, I didn't what I'm doing as such, I planned components of it, and then I brought those components together. So, I planned leaving the law and becoming a pilot, and then I planned perhaps going to the bar, and then COVID came in, so I didn't plan leaving flying. It's all just been cobbled together, but I just try to do the best with what time I have available to devote to each. And I'm very proud and humbled to be able to do both. And certainly, I'm no leading luminary in the law by any means, but I give it everything I've got, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that.
Indeed. Well said there, Damien. Would you have any advice for those at the bar looking to explore their other passions, but maybe don't have the time, or, feel a bit guilty that they're not devoting all their time to the law?
Well, I mean, it depends on your life experience. I mean, I've buried friends and family members, and, I know it's a bit sort of heavy going in a sense, but you don't take anything with you, and all you can take with you is, I always remember that great Maya Angelou saying, or poem, if you like, where she said, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do, people will always remember how you made them feel, or something along those lines. And I just try to live my life, because that's very impactful. What impact are you having on others?
No, it's very well said, and shout out to Maya for that one. And like I said, you are a stoic and you are a philosopher, and it's very much that. One of Caesar's servants back in the day would always, their primary job was to whisper in his ear, memento mori, one day you won't be here. And maybe if people knew from the day we are born that we are dying, in essence, that we'll probably find time to live. So you're a great example of that there, Damien. I'm glad you're living two inspired lives at the same time, or it's one beautiful super life that you're living right now. So well done. Changing gears a little bit. Talking on law, what would you like to see change in the law, if there's one thing you could change?
There's only one thing I'd like to change, Cullen, and that's collaboration. I think we need to, lawyers will often tell you they're the smartest people in the room, and I'm not trying to alienate anyone by saying that, but if we're the smartest people in the room, let's put two smart people together and try and work out a solution that doesn't involve either hating on each other or making life difficult. I've had people say to me, opponents, I don't see how you can win this. I know I spruik on about this sort of stuff all the time, but that's so unnecessary. Everyone's got a position, and we just need to work together to come to a position that suits everybody. It's not that hard, or it shouldn't be.
No, of course. And for those watching, it's very different to the American legal system where everyone says objection. Barristers over here, obviously, advocates for legal lawyers, and the end client, I guess the lawyer is your client. Do you still see the end client as your client in a sense there, Damien? Because I know that gets removed in the process of being an advocate and a barrister.
Oh, well, I think it's important to, as an advocate, to make the distinction that, we're there as an officer of the court. So your clients will always want you to say what they want you to say.
Yes.
It's kind of like the older brother to have a fight for you. We don't do that. But, I was doing a family law matter not so long ago. The client said, how'd you think that went? Because we got everything we wanted. And he said, you didn't really bang the table or anything. And I said, well, listen, if it's table bang you want, it's not me, because I don't do that.
No,
and
we don't table bang. And isn't it that old adage that the louder you are and the more you shout, the less cogent your points are? You may not even have a good argument.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, sometimes I might be quiet because I don't have much of a point, but generally that's
Oh, absolutely. Well, Rumpole of the Bailey, I've been watching a few episodes of that recently. He has some wonderful quips. I don't know if you have a go-to, you read any books or what have you to have them prepared in the courtroom there, Damien, or you've just learnt them over your long, luminous career. Do you have a favourite retort to the judge or the magistrate?
Honesty.
I love that.
I find it can be very disarming.
Very good. Honesty. I'm gonna put that in the show notes as one of the key takeaways from this one. One major lesson you'd like not only legal professionals but any professional to walk away from our live stream with.
Oh, sorry, Cullen, you just kind of broke up there a bit. What was the question?
One major lesson you'd like people to be walking away with from our law live together.
Oh, humility. Humility and forgiveness.
Humility and forgiveness.
They're the
wonderful
secrets of
sentiment.
life. Yeah, in my opinion. If you can exercise those and execute them, you're doing pretty good.
I'm endeared by what you're saying there, Damien. I think, was it the Buddha or the Dalai Lama said, being angry at someone is like drinking poison and expecting them to get sick.
I'm reminded of that, Cullen. I haven't heard that for years, but it's so true.
And it's you're not really forgiving that person for them. You're forgiving them for you, in a way, so you can move on.
Well, and taking yourself out of it. We all make mistakes. I make lots of them, but hopefully, as I get older, I seem to be getting better at realizing them, almost to the point as I'm making them, but I still make them.
Oh, of course. But obviously, because you see so many different cultures and lives and whatnot are in your travels, is there a favorite life philosophy from an area of the world or culture or favorite country that you really admire and love visiting to that really grounds you?
Well, that would require, I love everywhere I go, but certainly, I haven't been to Japan for quite a while, like a good few years, but
Hajimemashite.
Yeah. Arigato.
Arigato gozaimashita.
The Japanese culture is quite special. I think they're very considered, thoughtful, and humble. All the things I go for.
Very, very, very true, and very polite as well. I used to look after a few Japanese guests in my time when I was a hotelier, and my goodness, you have to make sure that when you get a business card in Australia, you get a business card and you hold it right, and you grab it with one hand. But in the Japanese culture, you have to do it with two hands. So it's very important. You look at it and go, "Oh yes, you are very special. I know your position. It's very, very special." So I just took that away. Damien, this has never happened, but my wife is at the door. Give me a moment. I'm going to let her in with the baby, and then we will resume. Apologies, everyone. Give me 2 seconds.
Do what you got to do.
Here we go. Little Benji's home, which we're excited about. But I love that. So talking about this one, and you can take a little bit of time to answer it there, Damien. When all is said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
As someone who cared. I like being in service to others, and I like being a voice for people who don't have one. So perhaps just those few things.
You're doing that in spades, and I get that every time I see you there, Damien. I can feel it.
Well, it's a reflective time for me because, I put a post on LinkedIn recently about my 10-year anniversary for a significant event that occurred in my life. And, I'm reminded of that every day, and every day I'll try to do better.
Absolutely. It's a harrowing story. You're welcome to share it, or we can direct people to your LinkedIn to view it. But when you told me, I was absolutely blown away when you told me that story.
Yeah, well, I only share it because it's of such major significance, and it I think my life was sort of spiraling out of control. So I think it was an essential thing that happened to me, but although I didn't see it to be that case at the time, but that's ultimately what I drew from it. And I think if anyone wants to read about it, please, visit my page, and the information's there, but I won't go into it now.
Of course. It's a beautiful post, and thank you for sharing it. And I just can say it's an honor to have you in my life, sir. An honor to have interviewed you today, and looking forward to doing this again. And you're flying in tomorrow or the next day? You've got 2 days in Singapore, I believe.
Friday. I'll be in early Friday morning for a big sleep, Colin.
Oh, they're very, very good. Well, you deserve it, my friend. We'll bring you back for some bonus questions, but thank you once again, Damien. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. You're a special human. It's good to be in your world.
Ditto, mate. I don't hold a candle to you. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your time. We'll bring you back in just a moment. And we're going to come out every week, as we usually do, on Wednesday, every Wednesday with Law Life. Thank you for tuning in. We'll upload this to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks so much for joining Damien and myself today. Take care, everyone. Damien, bringing you back for some bonus questions, my friend. How would you explain what you do to a 6-year-old, a child? How do you explain what you do in law or being a pilot?
Wow. I did have a 6-year-old about 16 years ago. So I'm not sure I was doing that. I wasn't doing so much at the time, but I help people sort out their fights when they can't sort them out for themselves. And I also fly in the sky. I think that's probably pitching it at the right level.
Nice. Absolutely. Is there a favorite book or movie that encapsulates what you do that you love?
Oh gosh. Well, Rumpole, of course, but I think the book that changed my life, and you alluded to her briefly earlier, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. That just rocked my world, that book. So that's a book I often turn to when in times of my own difficulty.
It is a fantastic book, and if you haven't read it yet, go to Hay House, go to Dymocks. It's everywhere. It's prolific. Yeah. Basically, I'm reminded that there's a spiritual solution or a stress-based solution to every problem. So it's always good to check in from the neck up and actually have those moments to go, okay, what's actually manifesting? So great recommendation there, Damien. Well done. And if you could give advice to yourself at any age, what age would you go back in time and give yourself that advice? And what would that advice be?
Probably the advice I gave my son, Cullen, throughout his life. I was always so eager to protect him from all of life's difficulties that it occurred to me that I had to teach him how to protect himself from life's difficulties. A bit like, self-settling for young babies. They've got to, they have to learn to self-settle. So I don't know that I'd give myself any advice at any age, because it's so important to learn the lesson. And I've had so many failures and so many difficulties and learned so many lessons that I wouldn't want to alter it, because I know it sounds a bit trite, I suppose, but I wouldn't be me having this conversation with you if I didn't go through all those things. Like your son going through whatever things he's going through at the moment.
Talking about self-settling, I think I have to be on a dad duty in a moment. But once again, there, Damien, it's been an honor. People have loved it. Evelyn said, well done, guys. Loved it. I will leave you to Singapore. It's been an honor to have you on Law Live, my friend. And we'll grab a coffee next time you're back down under. We'll grab one at the Avenue or Bean Bar.
Thanks, Colin. I can hardly wait, and I mean that.
Mate, I wait with bated breath, my friend. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.